honest, we never had an attached project or proposed, no apartments, no duplexes, no densities over 5 per acre. That
what
was
we heard in the beginning.
really okay.
Yeah.
If that was what was
freaked us
heard,
out.
I'm not lying. I have the original presentation with me right here, and you can go through it. Okay. Now I gotta remember what was in the original one. Now, all the single-family detached residential maxed at 5 units per acre. Now, I mean, it's kind of beside the point. It's gone. That's not proposed. What we're proposing is, we believe, consistent with the environment and consistent with neighboring properties. But great question.
Why don't you go, instead of trying to break it down as far as you have, why don't you go the other way and sell 10-acre lots and sell them?
I'm used to it.
Make it higher end instead of more houses.
So the question is, why don't we go for, say, 10-acre lots and sell them for double, triple the price? I think that the answer to that is, we don't believe that's what the market's calling for. We don't believe that down the road, 3, 4, 5 years from now, that's going to be desirable, in sort of, somebody wanting to buy the lot. So that's I guess my answer.
Okay, sir.
So in other words, you want to do like Marijuana in Sky Country, which is a pretty nice area, and there are 3/4 lots, all horse area. That's what you're after doing. But 2 acres.
2 acres, you got it.
Now, when it comes to that 2 acres, we lived there and they started the whole area was really nice. Still is. So you have to go there to experience, to see what he's talking about. But nevertheless, the water, are you going to use the city water, bring that in, build your own tank, instead of drilling into the ground? Let them do it?
That would certainly be so what my job would be, if we're allowed to proceed, I would meet with the water district, I would meet with the county, and we would look at options to service the project. Definitely included would be infrastructure to serve the property, extension of utilities, or it could be our contribution towards a master plan that they have to extend utilities. And that all is a long discussion, negotiation, and we have to secure that not only for domestic service, but we have to make sure we can provide fire service. And that's the top priority for the project.
Have you heard of El Paloma?
Did you say Altaloma?
The community El Paloma.
I've heard of it.
That's an equestrian community. However, that's not the way it works out. The property lot sizes are approximately what you're describing, the 2 acres. What happens is those that have horses put horses on the property. Then all the neighbors that move in there just because they wanted the bigger property with a nice house start complaining. Then they call the sheriffs, and the sheriff shows up. And then they complain about the smell of horses and the manure. And it goes on and on and on and on. It's not horse people and people who want nice big fancy houses don't seem to get along real well. And I happen to know for a fact. I lived there for 10 years.
You like the smell of horse.
I love it, but others don't, especially when they're on 2 acres. They have their swimming pools and they're out there in their swimming pools and they're smelling the horses and they're complaining completely. So you might as well embrace a equestrian on that.
No. Okay. I mentioned I'm from Newark. I know exactly what you're talking about. We have horses on my property, and you do get folks from Orange County moving into North.
Yes.
They have nice big lots, park their RVs and all
Oh,
their toys. On their
yes, I know
backyard.
all those things.
And I don't know if there's a way to, that's something we can investigate. Is there a way to maybe include in a CCNRs, maybe we do an HOA here to guard and protect? No HOA? Okay. No HOA.
What's the timeline?
I don't know exactly the answer, how to answer that.
But it does become an issue because people look at those properties to purchase, and some have horses, some don't. And pretty soon it becomes a goat fornication, as they call it, It is not a pleasant thing. I lived there 10 years, I can tell you for a fact.
Understood.
I have 5 acres now and I had horses.
If we get to item 2, we'll be talking about it.
Good.
What's the timeline from today. So where, this is the same doctor that owns the winery, right?
That's correct.
This is the same doctor that has the property on Fairview?
I think so.
Is that rejected by the city of Temecula?
I do not know. I'm not working on
He's
it.
trying to build a compound down Fairview. Same doctor, okay? So what's the timeline for this project to its completion?
Great question. So I mentioned earlier, the FGPA process, we haven't been scheduled for the last item. That's probably in the next 3 months, somewhere in there. I don't know. If we get approved to proceed, we'll be starting the implementing project. We'll be studying the water, all the technical studies, talking about how we handle fire behavior. And from there, I would estimate, it depends on how fast the county goes and the type of CEQA document we have to prepare. That's usually decided by the county. I would estimate as early as 12 months to an approval, as long as 24 months to an approval. And just to be conservative, let's say it is 12 months. We would then have to submit some sort of improvement plan and get that approved. So I would say if we start from today, as early as maybe 2 years out would probably be a time frame as early as I could guess that a shovel would be put in the ground. But that's all dependent upon what we find on the site when we study it from an environmental perspective, what our traffic study says for improvements. And on top of that, you know, the desirability of the project being constructed in the time frame, all those things come into really a market analysis and what the time frame looks like. So it's complicated. I'd say as early as 24 months, but most likely 4 to 5 years is my guess.
So what guarantees does our community and the communities adjacent, if he puts a shovel in the ground and then decides to up and sell it or stop building on it, and it becomes abandoned? So the earth is cut up, the infrastructure is put in, pipe, everything, and then he says, screw it, I'm done. So what guarantee will the doctor give us as this community that he'll finish the project?
Understand. So if we got to that point and we submitted plans and actually construction started, if the doctor is building the project, he has to post bonds. And those bonds are secured by the county. The county then moves in and controls the finishing of the project, whatever's in place. So if it's putting in water lines or if it's finishing grading to stabilize a property, the county would step in and
Just
finish.
everybody's
And then the taxpayer
everybody's
take
Well,
care of the rest of it.
Bonding process.
Right. This is the same doctor that put that bond on his winery without permits. I know because I know the owners of the previous, so, who we bought it from. So, it just sounds really dirty. I understand it's all about making money, it's all about change, but it just stinks. It just smells a little stinky.
Understood. And I guess my job is to obviously meet with everybody, gather as much feedback as I can, and propose a project that would be more well received. So that when you do have new neighbors in the future, that it's a nice community, it increases values for the surrounding property owners. That's what I want. That's what my job is. And if that means we're going to secure better water supply, or we're going to improve roadways at the same time, I think that's a plus. That's a benefit to this group.
Wi-Fi? There isn't any.
Big problem, actually, not before you go anywhere else.
My hand's getting tired, dear.
Every road around here is 2 lanes, there's no 4 lanes, once in a while, half inch, third lane. Okay? But also, what about fires, police, that's a problem right now. And this is going to be a huge problem. Those roads that you show going into that area, they're all 2 lanes. So if anybody that remembers the recent fires we had in Elliott County, that don't work so good.
Well,
infrastructure and survey. It actually won't work with the water.
so, topic infrastructure and making sure there's adequate infrastructure before a project goes in. And I mentioned before, we'll study infrastructure. And the county's job, and that's what the community, your feedback's helpful too, is to make sure the project is conditioned appropriately. When I say conditioned, every project that goes to the Board of Supervisors, almost every project, receives a set of conditions of approval, and capitalize those words. All those conditions have to be satisfied before certain milestones are hit on a project. So if there's not adequate access, if there's not adequate infrastructure, the county will flag that in this process and condition the project to be sometimes completed before, say, a grading permit is established or a building permit is given. And I know it doesn't answer in detail here, and I wish I could speak to the inefficiencies in detail, but
County is so involved, they have two buildings. They don't seem to get around very much. And when they do, but they miss a lot. How is that gonna happen? How is that going to be addressed? Very structured, very designed. I'm not saying LA County where I grew up, so the paradise, I'll tell you what, all of this stuff never got off the ground in LA County. That's exactly what we're doing now. They're starting to find out how, even though they're doing better initiatives out following these fires. Everybody lost years and years, now.
Understood, and definitely points we will need to address and make sure we not only respond, actually part of the CEQA process is to respond to community comments as well. So that meeting with the police department, meeting with the fire department, and discussing the challenges that this area faces is definitely in section 2 if we're allowed to proceed.
Oh, goodness.
First of all, I am a safe resident, not Temecula, all right? Others have big questions, I'm saying that, going on and on. Number one, generally speaking, I support improvement, I'm not in the Two, is this doctor the same doctor who owns the hospital?
Yes.
I will tell you right now, I think that's a red flag because it seems like there's nothing but doing anything.
Uh-huh.
Zero there. My question is, two, water is important to people. I want to well, we have the similar problems, I'm not 800 feet, but I'm sure I will on the next well I have to drill. And I will tell you, you need to get out of here. Don't go to it. Go the back way through the hills. That's what I had to do on the February fire from another country.
Uh-huh.
And two, I would be in approval with one condition. That you annex Sage into Temecula. So yes.
No, 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 I'm not interested. I'm not interested. The taxes would be up, and that would be the end of us.
So I will say, and I'll just mention this, I've worked with a doctor for a long time. Now, I don't work on really any of his projects, assets, whatever he owns. I've worked with him for over 10 years, 15 years. And I know sometimes there's a stigma between somebody like the doctor. And I guess one way to look at it is, yeah, we have a lot of projects that have started not quite finished. And my goal with this is to not do that. That as one of his, leading consultants on projects, we're gonna, if we get approved to proceed, obviously work with the community, move towards a completed project. So, can't speak to the past, but one thing I will say, and maybe on the silver lining side, is the doctor, of what I know, he likes to invest in the area he's in, even though it may not get finished. His his intent is usually good.